Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I am Jordan, and today we got a little video, a little recommended video. Shout out to Emblemed of maybe some Western powers have been funding some groups around the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? And don't ask, don't tell, motherfuckers. Before I get started, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. Thank you. All right, so you've probably heard me mention, if you've watched this channel before, you probably heard me mention about U.S. funding this, U.S. funding that. Like, come on, bro. Maybe Jordan's lying to us. Well, and this is me without seeing... I saw like a minute into this video. I have not seen the rest of it. I'm hoping to be surprised as far as new information that I get to, dive into. So, hey, if you don't believe me, maybe this will convince you. If not, hey, we can all take time and look into it ourselves. All right? That's the whole point, right, guys? To find the truth, try to find the truth, and then try to spout out the truth. Or contemplate on it, right? You don't have to tell everyone what you're doing. You could just think on it, I think that's very much worthy. I don't like that shit being, thrown at people. Like, why aren't you protesting? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I think someone contemplating about, man, what's the right thing to do? Or is this right or is this wrong? I think it's such a valuable thing in life that it should never be denied. It should never be taken as, you're not doing anything. Of course they are. Of course they are. So fuck off. Hop off the nuts. You don't have to be king protester to have an impact on the world. You change yourself, you change the world. That is a truth. There's no way around it. If the Mona Lisa's right there, and I tacked the bottom of it with a little stripe of red paint, I changed the Mona Lisa. It is now not the same painting. There is something new in the vista. It is now changed forever. So yes, you changing yourself within the scope of all of life on Earth and in the universe, you, my friend, you are changing the entirety of the universe just by any action you do. Hopefully it's the one you want to take. Anyways, let's get on with this video about maybe Western countries or anyone, possibly. I only saw a minute in, funding some of these extremist-style, terrorist-style groups. Here we go.
I'm a proud Muslim.
From AfricanStream, okay.
There's something we need to address. How Western powers have used impressionable Muslims who think they're fighting for jihad to serve their imperialist interests.
Now, off-rep, I'm sure there's some of you like, wait a minute, where's the suicide vest? He's Muslim. Sorry, there's a lot of people were dropped on their heads when they were young people. It is what it is. I'm just saying. Anyways, let's continue. I need to turn this up on my end. Maybe on their end, too. Let me see what the volume's at. Yeah, it's not even at full blast here, bro. Let's just start it over. Nice. Start from the beginning. Oh, yeah.
I'm a proud Muslim, but as a Muslim, there's something we need to address. How Western powers have used impressionable Muslims who think they're fighting for jihad to serve their imperialist interests.
The United States, like England before it,
Noam Chomsky
has tended to support
falling asleep already.
radical Islam against secular nationalism. Okay. And there's a reason for that. Secular nationalism, by and large, has been more independent and has attempted to move out of the control of Western power.
So-called Islamist groups have proliferated across Africa and West Asia in the last 7 decades.
Notice how he says so-called Islamic, so-called jihadi, right? Because this guy would say, those motherfuckers do not represent my religion, just like someone who blows up an abortion clinic or says, get the fags out of America. don't represent them as Christians or what these weirdos are doing in Israel, right? The genocide they're committing. Like, yeah, they're not the same as me. They don't represent Jewish people. Like, and this happens in every group. Every single group you can think of, except the YellBro Church. These things happen. Straight up. You say, oh, well, you know, I'm like a hardcore Boston Red Sox fan. Are you really, huh? Well, some of your boys beat up my dude the other day. Beat up my friend the other day, bro. Right outside Yankee Stadium. These guys snuck in here and just beat the shit out of my friend. Like, oh, no, wait. I'm not them. They're different. Like, I'm not some, like, you know, gonna start a fucking riot or a fist fight over a baseball game or over the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry. It just is what it is, bro. Every single group you look for, there's always someone, a loudmouth with a megaphone that does something fucking stupid. And everyone's like, wait a minute, it's these guys doing it. What were they saying in like the 90s, early 2000s? Like, oh, these guys listen to hardcore rock music. Whatever, the Columbine shooters listen to hardcore rock. Maybe there's a problem with hardcore rock. It's like, no, that's not all. Like, the rest of these kids aren't doing anything. They just like wearing all black clothes and fucking jamming out and shit, bro. You get your fucking grunge on. Whatever the fuck they're doing. Oh. Get down with the circus. Ooh, ah. They're just fucking having fun. They're jamming the music or they're expressing their emotions through music. It's only those two guys that went to do the shooting, and all the other fucking school shooters. Like, they might be on something different. Every group has these, man. Which is why I always bring it back to the idea of, like, psychology and philosophy and creating a moral code so that if someone even has an inkling of something different, you can actually question them on it. Or you can ask them questions of why, why are you okay with killing like this? Why is that okay? Now, granted, as a well-meaning person, that might make you a target, right? That can make you a target because you question them on it. And they're so psychologically fragile, they might like, what? What the fuck you, bitch? Right? But it at least gives you grounds to do so. But if you're just aimlessly walking around and saying, well, he wears the same t-shirt I wear, he's on my team, one day these fools might do something fucking stupid, and you're going to be associated with it. So really, figure out your fucking moral code, your idea of the world, all that shit. Granted, you don't have to have it all figured out at once. It's a progression, right? But whatever you understand, like, just be real about it. Just be real about it. So that if you learn more, you can be like, wow, I fucked up back then. I learned better. Here's where I'm at now. You don't want George W. Bush's running up and down your fucking organization. You're probably not even your friends group. But leave them to me. Leave the George W. Bushes to me. They can come out. They can come hang out with YellBro. Unless you can handle, Yeah, whatever. I'm rambling now. There's a point to what I'm saying, but whatever. Here we go. Just saying, like, every group has some fucked up motherfucker in it. I'm sure every family has someone fucked up in it. But anyways, here we go. That's why team playing can't work.
Western power.
So-called Islamist groups have proliferated across Africa and West Asia in the last 7 decades. From Egypt, Syria, Mali, Libya, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso, the list goes on. But whose interests are these groups really serving?
Syria.
Let's start with Syria. Its new self-proclaimed president, Ahmed Shara,
he's got a suit on now,
as Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, has garnered support from the West and neighboring Arab leaders, despite the US placing a 10 million bounty on his head in 2018 for leading, at the time, a designated terrorist organization. And at the end of 2024, that bounty was dropped, and Jalani, formerly a terrorist, has been rebranded as a moderate Islamist. As the man...
I mean, this guy has been brought up on this channel before, Jalani and HTS in Syria, and they're murdering the Alawites and Christians, and let's be real, they're murdering any Syrian that was loyal to Assad before he actually left. So, and apparently Western powers are like, yeah, we're okay with him being here now. Apparently, if they drop the fucking bounty on him, they might be okay with him being there as being the new warlord of Syria. But at the same time, I can also see him getting rolled, where they're like, Israel and Turkey agree to take one half and the other half, and the Kurds get something in between, maybe, or maybe the Kurds have to just mix amongst the Israeli territory, maybe. And guess what? Your politicians supported this guy in these actions directly, indirectly, and directly. And it's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, if that IQ test hit the regular American citizen, it might be chaos. If someone actually announced that one day and really said what was going on there, like, wait a minute. The whole reason we're over there is because Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11, and now we're funding them and supporting them and playing as their air force? How the fuck does that make sense? Like, American people should be wrecked by these type of narratives. That's why, when Tulsi Gabbard was coming out and saying, I was like, this is it's major breaking news to me. My dumbass thinking oh, people will hear this and be like, okay, we get it now. Just like with, I almost knocked the fucking plate over. Just like with the CIA selling drugs in inner cities in America, right? Wasn't there a whole giant crack epidemic, right? Remember that? The war on drugs, remember that? Like, damn, someone exposed that the CIA was selling drugs in inner cities in America. And it feels like it's in pop culture shows. And yet it feels like no one fucking knows about it. Still. What was that, John Singleton's last project? Right? That was his last project, I think. Snowfall. Or that is the main storyline of the movie. It's the CIA selling drugs through inner cities. Particularly LA in the TV show. But it happened in other cities as well. Other major cities. And yet it feels like no one fucking knows. I can't believe that. It's on primetime TV. No one knows. And yet you have people calling me a sellout for not liking, was it Sinners? Some stupid movie called Sinners about vampires and shit. I get called a sellout for not liking that stupid fucking movie. But they don't even know this other shit, bro. At least they don't fucking talk about it. They don't make it a big deal. They don't make it $1 billion idea, right? Instead, it's about feeling good with Black Panther. Fuck. Dummies. You fucking dumbasses. Anyways, like I said, every group has dumbasses in it. Let's continue.
24, that bounty.
This should be blowing the world away. Pause. It should be blowing the fucking world away. Wait a minute. These guys who are causing all this havoc in this region of the world, they're here because of this group's attacking them. But at the same time, they're funding a group like that? How does that make sense? Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, killing all these innocent people because of Hamas, right? Because Hamas attacked them. And yet they were funding Hamas. You can't make this shit up. I'm not even going to make it a fucking 2 minutes into this video yet. I'm wrecked, bro. That no one fucking has this not. Imagine you're a journalist. This is like major super duper breaking news. You're the fucking most popular journalist on the fucking planet if you talk about this stuff. Like on a mainstream level. Because it'll get the most eyes. Whether they hate you or love you or their team playing, like, oh, Democrats said it, fuck them. Or Republicans said it, fuck them. It's a free gold mine. They still won't do it. I'm wrecked. Let's continue.
Formerly a terrorist, has been rebranded as a moderate Islamist. As the man to end the Syrian people's suffering, it's amazing what a nice suit and tie can do.
Yep.
While the fall of Bashar al-Assad has been widely celebrated, it's worth noting who Jilani really is and who helped him get to power.
This full name change.
In 2011, Jilani left the Islamic State of Iraq and went to Syria to establish the Al-Nusra Front, a branch of Al-Qaeda, who, as the leaked email correspondence in 2012 between then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and her Deputy Chief of Staff Jake Sullivan showed, were fighting on the US's side in Syria. That same year, Barack Obama
WikiLeaks
covertly
as
tasked
well.
the CIA alongside the UK government and Saudi intelligence to overthrow the Syrian government in Operation Timber-Sycamore. The CIA funded, trained, and provided intelligence to radical and extreme Islamist groups such as the Al-Nusra Front, led by Jolani.
Now, what we normally see on the news when the mainstream idiot, sorry, it's like it's pissing me off. I'm calling people names now. When the person who hasn't paid enough attention and hasn't looked into the stories at all, when they hear like foreign policy news, it's usually these heads of states or heads of governments in the U.S. or allies proclaiming that some other group is doing exactly what they do themselves. You'll hear Trump or his administration go on TV and tell you about Iran is training Hamas fighters to do terrorist acts. They're training Hezbollah to do terrorist acts. They're training Houthis to do terrorist acts. Meanwhile, the U.S. does that themselves. They do that themselves, dude. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the universe works and works for Jordan, apparently. And they're just sending these zombie-like people to me so that I could destroy them on information they'd never heard in their life before. It's like they're little punching bags for me to feel better about myself. It's not worth it, dude. As much as I have a little creepy, I take creepy pleasure from it, you know? Some idiot's like, well, as you get for supporting terrorists. You supporting terrorists? Huh? Guilty pleasure. Sorry, guys. I like to destroy these dum-dums that don't know anything. Pleasurable, you know? Pause. Either way, it's time now, guys. Figure this shit out, you dummies. Learn. I'm sorry I gotta call you dummies, but you're fucking dummies. Fuck. And you're not dummies for not knowing about these things. No one can know everything or anything in the fucking world. That's not the point. The point is that you went along with something without fucking questioning it. That makes you a dummy. That makes you stupid. Sorry. And I know it feels better when you call yourself dumb because it feels like you figured some shit out. But guess what? Until then, if you keep spouting shit like this, bro, I'm going to call you dumb. I can't help it. If I hear you sound like Dubster, like, oh, so we're going to war with Iran. Where do I sign up at? If I hear you sound like that shit, bro, I'm going to call you fucking dumb. I'm going to call you a slave and I'm going to call you stupid. Just straight up. It is what it is. Anyways, let's keep going. Once again, under Obama, under Trump, funding was still going through there. Biden, who was vice president to Obama. Bush, I'm sure there's some Taylor tie, but you could probably tie it to the Mujahideen and then Al-Qaeda itself, the creation of it. They all contributed, one form or fashion. We're the ones who lose, not them. Anyways, here we go.
Operation Timber-Sycamore, which received billions in US funding, ran a rat line to run weapons from Libya to the radical extremists in Syria. Now, AfricanStream
potentially even gas.
Tulsi Gabbard, but she describes this disastrous US policy pretty accurately.
DoD Train and Equip program, again, begun under President Obama, is widely been known, looked at, and studied, that ultimately resulted in over $500 million being used to train who they called moderate rebels, but were actually fighters working with and aligned with Al-Qaeda's affiliate on the ground in Syria.
Not only is Jolani a Western back.
I just want to add, Trump tweeted about that during Obama's administration and came into office and did the same fucking thing. Same thing. Just saying. Let's continue.
Al-Qaeda militant. His surprise seizure of power has cut off Iranian
through the NDAA
to anti-Israeli resistance groups such as Hezbollah, which were shipped through Syria under Assad. Ironically, the name he adopted, Jolani, refers to his family roots in the occupied Golan Heights. Yet, since he came to power, Israel's been expanding the areas it occupies and has repeatedly bombed Syria's military equipment and bases in the region. Yet Jolani has said very little and done even less. So much for jihad.
that has been, yes, what has been happening as of recent, as Israel marches towards Damascus, eating up more territory of Syria. They bombed the weapon reserves that Assad's government left behind because they're like, yo, we don't want this fool using it against us, so make sure you take these out. You can't give ex-Al-Qaeda guy, or let's be real, current Al-Qaeda guy, you can't give him a fucking air force like that, or these powerful weapons that were probably dealt through Russia, right? Probably. And Russia's a powerful army, so, like, I'm sure some of their weapon systems were in Syria because they were allies with Assad in Syria. And Israel's like, nope, gotta bomb those. Anyways, let's continue. Egypt, let's see what happens.
Let's now turn to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt.
Oh, there you go.
Founded in 1928, it began as an anti-colonial movement resisting British imperialism in Egypt. However, despite initially taking a principled stand against American imperialism, by the 1950s, it had become aligned with the US due to the opposition to Jamal Abdel Nasser, Egypt's revolutionary president who had nationalized the Suez Canal and vowed to liberate Palestine, fighting off Israel, Britain and France in the process. He pushed for Arab and African unity. He had a nationalist vision for Egypt.
This is where I sit back and learn.
One built to resist Western domination and neo-colonialism. Rather than supporting pan-Arab nationalism, the Brotherhood opposed it on religious grounds as they didn't believe Egypt should be a secular state. This fitted nicely with the Western efforts to tame and weaken the anti-imperialist leader. Sensing tensions, the US began regular meetings at the US Embassy in Cairo between American diplomat Frank Gavarni and the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, Hassan al-Hudaybi. Nasser understood what was happening and began to crack down on the Brotherhood in 1954. That same year, they tried to assassinate him and became more militant in their opposition to the state, leading to their official ban.
So I'm a little bit less learned on Egypt. I think I've heard of this guy. Not enough though. But once again, you can believe it that U.S. if there's a leader of some country, forget about U.S. like any powerful nation that has a leader, let's say of a country that like, oh, this guy's gonna not work in our interest, meaning maybe we want their resources, maybe we want to put troops there as a strategical point in whatever region, whether it's Middle East, South America, anywhere, right? It's like, oh, this guy's against it. He's gonna. Once again, economically, this has been a theme over and over again, especially like the John Perkins economic hitman stuff. Where it's like, oh, these guys want to nationalize the resources so that their own people get it. They get the benefits of selling whatever resource it is at a realistic price to where the country itself gets paid and it funds whatever programs or whatever the fuck they got going on there, right? It funds their economy. If you do something like that, the U.S. might want to overthrow you. You can look at Venezuela. I understand people... There's people who think he's a, super duper, triple OG drug dealer. I can't say I know. I just doubt that. I think it's just a narrative because those guys do things with their economy that we don't want them to do. So what you try to do is destabilize the country by whatever means, whether it's covert troops on the ground, funding rival groups on the ground. Sanctioning people that work alongside them as like in regards to like allies. You try to isolate them, subvert them, and knock them the fuck down by any means so that you can take it over and plant some McDonald's there or whatever the fuck they want to do. All right? If they want access to the resources or whatever. All right? So not surprising. Just don't know as much about the Egypt story. Let's continue. I know a lot more about this. The Mujahideen in Afghanistan, which I'm sure he's going to tie directly to 9/11. which is once again should be. I mean, as far as where we're at now, should still be the biggest story in the fucking world, considering where we're at. Because we haven't apparently learned our lesson. Granted, these guys in the U.S. government, it's not about learning a lesson. Like they are for this. This is not an oopsie. But I'm saying for the American people, the fact that we haven't learned our fucking lesson yet, I don't know what to say. Maybe we have. We just don't know what to do about it. And a lot of people are saying, just vote people in or vote people out. It's like, that's going to take a long time. And by then, the plan might be complete. Let's just be real. I mean, I heard Corbett say this about Afghanistan, where he's like, oh, you think you pressured them into leaving? Or maybe the plan is complete. Job done. Now we can leave. But we're not actually leaving now. We create permanent outposts at all these fucking territories. We haven't left fucking Germany, bro. Germany, we haven't left it. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
The Afghan Mujahideen are perhaps the greatest example of the converging interests of radical Islamists and the West. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to protect the socialist government, which was on the verge of being overthrown. To resist the Soviet invasion, the West armed and funded the radical Afghan Mujahideen, who would later become the Taliban, including Osama bin Laden, who would later become the head of Al-Qaeda. The US provided aid to the Mujahideen through Operation Cyclone, a program to arm and finance the Afghan Takfiri group. The UK also supported the Mujahideen, including covert operations by the MI6 itself. They weren't only financed and supported, they were treated like heroes. Here's a quick glimpse of the then UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, who visited the Mujahideen in 1981.
I want to say that the hearts of the free world are with you.
In 1989...
Listen, all she needed was a spanking, okay? And I would have provided that. Sorry, I'm a perv. Forgive me. Or she needed to spank me. Just think about it. I can create world peace here, okay? I'm just saying. Anyways. Also, there's a famous clip of I struggle saying this guy's Zygmunt Brzezinski or Brzezinski. I probably butchered the shit out of that. But there's a famous clip of him giving a speech to some of these fighters. He's at the time were freedom fighters. Now, years later, they become terrorists. But at the time, they were freedom fighters. He's like, oh, yeah, oh, our respect for your Allah, your religion. These are not direct quotes. It's just me, like, making fun of, like, this guy, like, pandering to them because, let's be real, they were proxy fighters for the U.S. against Soviet Russia in Afghanistan. Let's just be honest about that. So, when you hear some dumb fuck saying, like, oh, well, how's America supposed to survive when you got all these jihadists running around? Like, well, you could start by not funding them and creating them in the first, or not creating them, but, like, boosting them up in the first place and training them and arming them. You can try to not do that, you know, just every once in a while, just try not to do that. Fuck. Anyways, let's continue.
The Soviets were defeated, and then the Taliban and Al-Qaeda for a short time were their allies. Then suddenly, they became the West's sworn enemies. And after 9/11, the same people the US supported in the 80s became the pretext for the US and its allies to intervene in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, look at that.
To start its global war on terror, which would sweep across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, killing tens of millions of people in the process.
I mean, but dude, what are you talking about? The war on terror is only in the Middle East. We're not in Africa. What's there? Where's Africa? I don't even understand. We wouldn't be. There's no way we're subverting things in Africa, right? There's no way. We wouldn't do that. We're looking for Arabs, bro. Africa's black people, right? I'm telling you right now, this is how some normie dumb thinks. If I had to guess. Once again, only dumb because of the lack of information. But at a certain point, an IQ test happens, and it's like, yo, now there's no excuse. It's right here, thrown at you, right in your face. It's being thrown right at you. What are you going to do with the information? Also, pause those last statements. Let's move on to Libya. I think anyone even a somewhat a little bit learned on foreign policy would know about the Mujahideen, right? Even Michael Moore fans know somewhat about it, I would hope, or Joe Rogan fans, or it's touching the mainstream. But all right, let's go on to Libya. I have a feeling they're going to go with probably even before Gaddafi, to where Gaddafi, I think, was working along with these Western powers, and then he did the wrong thing at some point and got fucked. Quite literally. Anyways, here we go.
Libya is another prime example of radical Islamist forces working against anti-imperial and secular nationalists. The Libyan Islamic Fighting Group was created by Libyans who fought alongside the Mujahideen against the Soviets in Afghanistan. It started targeting Muammar Gaddafi in the 1990s to create an Islamic state in Libya. Gaddafi was an anti-imperialist and pan-Africanist who supported African independence and challenged Western hegemony across the world. He supported South.
Now, I do think he had, he went along with the West in certain moments, or certain policies and things that I can't truly think of right now. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. But I think that has happened. So I don't know if it should be once again, what happened to him should not happen to any human being. Gaddafi, but at the same time doesn't make them an angel because of that. But whatever, fair enough. Here we go.
Gaddafi was an anti-imperialist and pan-Africanist who supported African independence and challenged Western hegemony across the world. He supported South Africa and Zimbabwean liberation struggles, Palestinian and Irish resistance, and black nationalist groups in the US. As far as the West was concerned, he had to go. In 1996, MI6 funded the LFIG in a plot to kill Gaddafi. They failed. But it didn't end there. In 2011, France, the US, and the UK backed the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group and other militant groups in the overthrow, brutal murder, and sodomization of Gaddafi. LFIG was a designated terrorist group when they received their backing from the US and the UK in 2011.
Now, all of you have seen I'm sure all of you have seen we came, we saw, he died, ha ha ha, the fucking Hillary Clinton thing. Well, that's what she was talking about Gaddafi in that scenario. Yeah. Also, I just want to add, I don't know if they're going to bring it up in the video, but Gaddafi had some weaponry there. Not nukes, but I think he had chemical weapons there. And those things might have made their way to Syria when Syria became the next target of Western powers and some of these extremist groups. Just saying. I also call them mercenaries more than extremist groups because I think they get paid to do this. I don't think these guys even give a fuck about Islam or the religion or at all. Maybe to a small degree. But I gotta get mines, God. I gotta get mines, Allah. I gotta get mines. But not I think the more hyper-religious of people is probably the less they're doing wild shit like this. But I don't know. I can't say. Just, once again, their interpretation of things seems so twisted of what may be the intention. Alright? But, whatever. Here we go. Let's continue.
Murder and sodomization of Gaddafi. LFIG was a designated terrorist group when they received their backing from the US and the UK in 2011. And guess what? They got taken off those terrorists shortly after, in 2015 by the US and 2019 by the UK.
Oh, wow.
So whose interest was served by Gaddafi's fall and another prosperous oil state descending into civil war and a current stalemate where two different governments control the country? Take a look at Hillary Clinton's emails and you'll find the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Take
and also Libya being considered. These are things I've heard being considered the bottle cap of Africa, to where when motherfuckers are crying about migrants coming through or terrorists spreading out throughout Africa and through the Middle East, like they have a new pathway to exchange through because there's no Gaddafi there stopping people from just willy-nilly going across borders and shit like that. Like, maybe that has something to do with it too. Not saying I know, just saying I've heard that before as well. Yeah, like I said, the migrants. But once again, these guys in the UK complaining about Muslims entering their country or Arabs entering their country. They don't complain about what the UK does in the Middle East. Or at the very least, I've rarely heard them say anything about that. Which is just bizarre to me. Like, it is what it is. I see Conor McGregor getting look at where are these people coming from? It's like, Ukraine. The Irish are being infiltrated by the terrorist groups. I thought the majority of the immigrants coming in are Ukrainian. But when you say migrants, people think dark-skinned, brown people and black people. Anyways, let's continue.
Where two different governments control the country. Take a look at Hillary Clinton's emails and you'll find the answer to that one. Take Burkina Faso, for example. Blaise Compaoré, a Western-backed leader, was overthrown by a popular revolution in 2014. In 2015, two Islamist groups began expanding their operations in the country. It seemed there was no terrorist threat when the Western-backed puppet regime of Blaise Compaoré was in power. But as soon as he was overthrown, all of a sudden, Burkina Faso has a terrorist threat. Today, Burkina Faso, under the revolutionary leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, is asserting its sovereignty in military, economic, energy, and mining spheres, resisting neo-colonial exploitation by the West alongside AES allies Mali and Niger. Yet Traoré is having to spend the country's resources and efforts on fighting off radical Islamist insurgencies, which are suspected of being Western-backed.
Now I'll say this. I mean, you boost the military to be the government, essentially. That's what it looks like. This dude is garbed out in military shit, seemingly. I mean, everything should be investigated and taken as, like, what are you saying? What are you doing? Like, what are your actions? That's how we should be doing assessments with people, for sure. But, you know, to call one act terrorism and another act revolutionary when it's still just physically violent war. Not saying I know this scenario too well. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, actually. Like, yeah, those are things I tend not to play teams with. Or, you know, those are things where, like, until I understand the scenario, I'm kind of watching from a distance. Like, I can't tell who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. That's just me being honest about it. Right? I'm not just going to go with it because the video says so, or because there's some group that's Western-backed. That's not how I contemplate my morality. I try to understand and investigate and find out what's what through that. And like, oh, okay, I've heard this, or I've heard that. And you know what? If you want to settle these things, shut everything the fuck down. If the rebels are the good guys, if the government's the good guys, or the new government, the revolutionaries, cool. Let's shut everything the fuck down. Let's get a ceasefire going. And let's investigate every little claim. Every little claim. Every single one. But we don't do that either. And if we've been doing that from the fucking beginning in all world conflicts, I think we'd be in a better place. To where now there's more hands on deck because we'd be resolving conflicts in other places where we're not pulled in 30 million different directions. But right now, there's just wars happening everywhere. Everywhere. If you don't think what the cartel with the U.S. is in a war, it is. It is. Or Mexico with the cartels, the government versus the cartel. Like, yeah, war. That's what's happening here. It's like, it's just no one wants to, like, actually, like, it's almost like no one wants to figure it out. Is it too entertaining or something, guys? Like, what's going on? Is this stuff too entertaining to where it's like, man, I don't want them to figure it out. Let's just fucking eat the popcorn, kick back, grab some popcorn and watch it all go down. Watch it burn. Watch our own destruction as a form of entertainment. And I'm not talking to anyone in particular. I'm just saying, like, anyone where, like, you have, like, where you are at in that spot psychologically, it's like you're part of the fucking problem. The people that cleanse themselves of that shit and act accordingly based on, like, what they figured out, what they learned, what they believe in, with maybe more hindsight, with more understanding, more knowledge, more information, are part of the solution, in my opinion. Even if you go, even if in my opinion you go the wrong direction, you're still being authentic about it, which I think, once again, is part of the solution. We spent enough time on liars, man. Let's find the real motherfuckers. Straight up. Even if they disagree. Just got to be real. But no, we don't even care to spend time on that. That's asking too much. Motherfuckers just want you to vote for one person or another, and then that'll fix everything. That'll move us in the direction we need to go. We're going to have to do this vote for one guy or the other like 12 more times, and then maybe something will happen later on. Like, fuck. I'm wrecked. Let's continue. I
In
fucking
2024,
hate everything.
Traoré
I hate everyone and everything, bro.
was
Forgive
providing
me.
support to terrorist groups attacking Burkina Faso. Traoré said he had
audio recordings of French agents in Benin who play at the terrorist center of operations
and
set up operations with them and help them to look after themselves.
That could be the case. I don't know. I don't know this story. I don't know these guys. Who knows? Have we seen governments set things up that are bullshit to make themselves look like they're the victims or look good? Yes, we've seen that. Have we seen terrorist groups funded by Western nations to infiltrate and destabilize other countries? Yes, we've seen that too. So, for me personally, I've not looked too deeply into this particular story of this particular country or territory. Thus, I can't really say what I know. But if you can tell, I had the wherewithal to question what I'm seeing, and thus leaves room. Once you start putting questions there, it starts begging for answers. Thus, you can go look for the actual answers to those questions, or try to at the very least, right? So, see how even someone who's just like, man, I don't know, in my humble opinion, is worthy of the scenario, of being a part of the scenario. You've never been, no. Have you been there? Shut up. Shut the fuck up. That should have been Doug, or not Doug. That should have been Dave's response. You've never been there. Shut the fuck up. I'm talking. Shut up. Nah, that's probably not the right way to go about it. But part of my psyche, my soul would have leapt out of my body and slapped the shit out of his soul, if he has one. Like, bitch, shut up. But to wreck your shit. Shut up. I know it's not nice, but I have that tenacity, but I know I can stop myself if I need to. I'd be like, alright, go ahead, neo-cunt. I mean, Douglas Murray. Go ahead. Say what you want to say. Anyways, it's okay to say, I don't know. That is such a beautiful expression, is to truly not know something and then to express it like, I don't know. Let me look into it. It is one of the key tenets of being authentic, is saying, I don't know something when you don't know something. And even then, when you do learn, you could be like, man, I don't know, but I believe this based on the information I've heard. Right? Obviously, there's like casual conversations and shit talking, or like, bitch, he fucking killed him over there. But it was like, if you break it down to a philosophical discussion, it's like, okay, I don't truly know, but based on what I've seen, this is what I understand. This is what I believe. Like, I don't know, it's such a beautiful concept. for existentialism. Just not used enough. Let's be honest. I mean, in my opinion, the correct way of I don't knowing, right? Where it's I don't know, but I care, versus I don't know and I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go watch something else or do something else. That's not, to me, not the greatest expression, not the most fulfilling expression. But anyways, let's continue. Here we go.
In 2021, Mali's Prime Minister Choiga Maiga
Dropping
claimed
jewels,
he had
y'all.
evidence that France had been training terrorist groups operating in the West African country. Then in 2022, Mali's Foreign Affairs Minister Abdoulaye Diop sent a letter to the head of the United Nations Security Council alleging Mali's airspace had been breached more than 50 times this year by French forces using drones, military helicopters and fighter jets to deliver weapons to terrorist groups. Very damning allegations.
Also, well, I could definitely believe that with France, but also the U.S. has, like, when they were saying Trump didn't start any new wars, this guy was moving into Africa where U.S. troops were dying and they were killing and shooting. So it was a war in countries you've never fucking heard of. Let's just be honest. Not surprised France would do the same thing. All right, here we go.
50 times this year.
Not surprising at all.
French forces using drones, military helicopters and fighter jets to deliver weapons to terrorist groups. Very damning allegations that are supported by the fact that France has not exactly been shy in demonstrating its disapproval with the revolutionary processes going on in Ouagadougou, Bamako and Niamey.
What was that word? Ouagadougou? Boko Haram?
Boko Haram in Nigeria provides a revealing recent example.
I've heard
now
of this
viral
a little
video
bit.
of US member of Congress accusing USAID of funding the group has caused alarm across Africa.
Your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding.
The U.S.
That has happened, and when I say that Donald Trump funded these groups as well, there's a almost kind of a, not as detailed as that guy right there, but Rand Paul talked about funding through it wasn't through USAID, which everyone has suspected of, let's be real, funding some suspect shit. Maybe some things that are legitimate too, maybe, but those might be excuses to be in the country while they do the real thing they want to do, which is fuck up the world. But not through USAID, through the NDAA, right? Through our military spending, right? Our National Defense Authorization Act, where we spend certain money annually. And in the 2021 that Trump signed, Rand Paul was like, yo, why are we funding these? Who are these groups we're funding in Syria? Like, what the fuck is this? You know, the guy is like a stickler for spending money, for spending bills, right? Like, why are we spending all this money everywhere? He noticed that and he called it out, as he should. Granted, no one cared when he did that. I saw it. I did a video on it. I bring it up all the time. I don't think anyone, when it happened, I don't think anyone really cared. That wasn't to big me up, by the way. Pause. I was just saying, like, it's like, damn, that sounds like a big deal. But even Rand Paul apparently forgot that happened. Otherwise, he should be bringing that shit up every fucking day until someone makes an account for it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, here we go.
The shipments of cash funds madrasas,
From the Daily Wire.
ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram.
And Daily Wire's
ISIS
been all over it.
Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding.
The US ambassador to Nigeria denied the claim, as he would. However, Nigerian authorities are now investigating, and rightly so. General Christopher Musa, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, raised some interesting questions about this during an Al Jazeera interview.
Now, before he says his interview, now, have we heard about any of this stuff being cut from Doge? They're done already, right? Doge is done already, right? They're like, all right, or Elon's done with it. All right, I'm gonna do something else now. I mean, they stopped some gay volleyball from happening, or some trans hockey league. They stopped that. But this stuff, did they stop this? Or did it move under another Douglas Murray type personality like Marco Rubio, to where some of these programs will now be hidden by the State Department instead of having more eyes on it like it could have had with USAID, where you can like actually expunge the fucking programs. Instead, a lot of it got shipped over to Marco Rubio in the State Department, meaning don't expect this stuff to stop. And now if a Democrat comes in the next election, they have something where it's like no one even knows about it in the first place. Now it's hidden. It is marked under top secret now. You'll never fucking know about it. What a good job they did, huh? All right, let's get to this guy's interview. Here we go. On, what was it, on Al Jazeera, I think? Here we go.
January 2025.
As we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself.
Damn, that sounds like some of these kids in like Chicago or LA or New York were like, yo, where'd these guns come from? Remember the Spike Lee movies were like, yo, how come these guns with Israeli lettering on it end up in fucking Brooklyn? Or Chicago? Or LA? How are these guns ending up there? Were these kids like leaving, like they're leaving the country? Like these, once again, kids. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Are these guys going into foreign lands, grabbing these guns, bringing them back, filing off the serial numbers, and then using them? It takes a lot of money to do that. It's like, damn, why are you living in the fucking hood if you got fucking money like that to move around, buy these fucking large amounts of weapons, and bring them back? I'm sure there's some kids that, like, you know, ahead of the curve, I guess, business-wise. Still creepy, but business-wise, ahead of the curve, and they made a lot of money off whatever they're doing. And they use one thing to fund the other. That makes sense. But in the first place, how are they getting there in the first place? Along with the fucking kilos of cocaine back in the 80s or mid to late 70s and the 80s. How are these poor kids getting fucking all this fucking coke? You have to ask yourself, how did that fucking happen? And no, not all the guns are from Israel. So if you're one of those dum-dums that blames Israel for everything, you better fucking learn up, bro. It is a multinational conglomerate of cunts. Sorry, of Douglas Murrays that apparently just want to make the world a worse place, it seems like. Which is also why I call them devil worshippers. And Douglas Murrays. It's weird, man. Weird phenomenon, huh? This guy's wrecked. He's like, how the fuck is this guy? How'd this happen? Where'd this come from? They didn't plant a tree and the shit grew out of it. How the fuck is this shit over here? Worthy questions. Why the fuck is ISIS riding around in Toyota Hilux trucks, bro? Fully equipped with ability to mount fucking machine guns on them and shit. How the fuck did that happen? Did they grow the Toyotas? Did they build them one by one in the ISIS factory somewhere? Like, come on. Come on. And once again, you don't have to believe me, but at the very least, ask for an investigation. Call me out personally, but yo, YellBro made this claim. Can we investigate this now? Or someone else made this claim. This video right here made this claim. Can we investigate some of this stuff? Like, let's get dumb level, dumb guy logic level, and let's be really simple about this. Hey, I'm not going to walk in and say I know all the answers, right? Dumb guy logic. But can we, like, look into this? At all? What are they going to do? They're going to be like, well, it's top secret. Oh, it's top secret because Marco Rubio is a better human being than I am, apparently. He gets access to it because he's a better person than me somehow? Fuck out of here. You know what? I'm going to do a FOIA. Freedom of Information Act? Okay. I'm going to file out a FOIA for these documents. All right, I'll see you in 10, 15, 20 years. Now when you're an old man, like, finally, I can get my hands on these documents. Yes, I got it. Let me open it up. Redacted. Next page. Redacted. Next page. Reacted. Next page. Reacted. those guys redacted. Next page. Redacted. Like, is this what we're here for, guys? Is this the point? Come on. Come on, dude. It don't work. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. If someone's trying to be moral about something, it don't make sense. I understand a lot of people don't want to use morality as a scale or standard because everyone has their own subjective moralities. I was like, well, let's hold whoever the fuck gets in office, let's hold them to what they say in regards to their moral philosophies. I don't want war. Hey, I'm here. I want to be a peace president. I want to end wars. I want to end them. Let's actually hold them to it. Oh, hey man, if you want to end war, why are you looking to steal... why are you looking to make a deal for the resources of this other country when the point is just to end the war, period? Oh, you want to end the war? Why are you funneling over massive amounts of bombs to this country that's blowing the shit up of this other fucking country? Why are you funding these terrorist groups? Why are you funding these white helmets guys who we don't fucking know about? Why are you doing that? The whole point is to end wars. That doesn't make sense. Oh, you're not going to answer? Get the fuck out. You're done. Impeached. Get him the fuck out. Get him out. Next. Who's next? But we don't do that. Probably because we feel like we can't do that. I'm not saying any type of military coup or anything bullshit like that. It's just straight up use your words. Or, let's be real, like be yourself and use what you have in your own life. Imagine if there's 300-something million Americans that are like, yo, oh, you're not going to leave? All right, we're not going to work for you at all. Meaning nothing moves. Nothing moves till you leave. Next man up. All right, JD Vance, what do you plan on doing with he gives a bullshit answer. Get the fuck out. You're done, too. Get out. But that takes a lot of, once again, I think a lot of artificial things pit people off against each other. And let's be real. Authenticity is not some sort of valuable currency in today's world. It is kind of on the subconscious level. I think we look for authenticity. Right? When we have some politician like, oh my God, this person's going to end the wars, right? And someone believes that. There's no way they believe that. They think that guy's full of shit, right? They'd be like, oh, this guy authentically believes. Like, right? So this person authentically believes that they're going to end the war. Right? Which means they think they're authentic about ending wars. Which means it is valuable. But it's not so much on the forefront valuable. I think. At the forefront of our minds. Of our psyches. It's kind of just take his word for it because maybe he wears a nice suit. Or CNN hates him. Or CNN loves him. Or Kyle Kalinske loves him. Or Steven Crowder hates them. Or whatever. Whatever mixture of shit you want. As far as telltale signs about authenticity. Meanwhile, not addressing the person themselves. What's the most they say about a person? Like, oh, look, his suit's really nice. Or, damn, look at his rhetoric. Other than that, what do you have? A bunch of external shit that's supposed to verify to you that this person's legitimate? Look, he got shot at. That makes him legit. No, it doesn't. Look, CNN hates him. That makes him legit. No, it fucking doesn't. Look, this anti-war guy loves him. He's legit. No, it fucking doesn't make them legit. Them being legit makes them legit. And I understand that'd be hard to try to read as a person from the outside, but you gotta fucking try. Because you're doing it anyways. And it might as well be based on some sort of legitimate form of thinking instead of just taking it for granted. But we're stupid, so here it is. Sorry, I got angry again. We're not stupid. We're stupid though. But we're not stupid. But we are stupid. Anyways, let's continue. Here we go.
They're coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself.
Yes, we should. How is a group operating in some of the poorest areas in northeast Nigeria able to go up against a national army for 15 years? Here's some historical context that might help in particular the example of Al-Qaeda with its roots in the Afghan Mujahideen.
Al-Qaeda has always been our proxy force on the ground. They, together with ISIS, have carried out the mission of the United States, together with a great number of affiliates.
The US trained and equipped and funded
the
Mujahideen against the Soviets in the 80s. It was in the American prisons in Iraq that ISIS was formed. After the US took out its once...
These fools would flip out about this image. Sorry.
The US trained...
If they saw this image in 2025, these fools would freak out. They would freak the fuck out. I'm telling you, but no one, they don't see them. They don't ever see these things. But they would flip out just on the racial level. Like, what the fuck what are these fucking towelheads doing in my country? Sitting with my hero, Ronald Reagan. They'd be wrecked. They'd be super wrecked. Which is why it's hard to take some of these guys serious, like a Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or Charlie Kirk. It's hard to take these guys serious when it's like, yo, this happened and you do nothing about it. Anyways.
Trained and equipped and funded the Mujahideen against the Soviets in the 80s. It was in the American prisons in Iraq that ISIS was formed. After the US took out its once close ally Saddam Hussein in 2003. We even have states created on radical Islamist concepts such as Saudi Arabia, founded by a known British Empire asset like Ibn Saud. Through the Treaty of Devon in December 1915, the British Empire made the lands of the House of Saud a British protectorate and gave them their modern-day state boundaries. In exchange, Ibn Saud pledged to wage a war against Ibn Rashid, an ally of the Ottomans and a rival to the British Empire. Today, Riyadh is still a close British ally and above international law, acting with impunity, whether it's bombing Yemen, helping to destabilize Sudan, or chopping up journalists in Turkey. This is not to say that the US and co are fans of radical Islamist groups, or vice versa. But the West has allowed these terror groups to flourish in a way that ultimately serves their interests.
Like a game of chess. Alright. I mean, I have... I think I've said it all of where my stance is in regards to all this. But yeah, if you're new to hearing stuff like this, yeah, it should be like, fuck. This is horrible. Like, for me, I personally came, like, when I started looking into politics, right, whatever the fuck, right? I came from a conspiracy, I was a blank sheet, coming from, like, conspiracy ideas. So this didn't shake me at all. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. If I was some evil genius, not saying these people are evil, but, like, if I, like, the stereotypical evil genius guy, the bad guy in a movie, alright? Yeah, this is the practical thing to do. In a psychopathic, evil intentions way. But yeah, it makes sense that people are doing that. But if you come from the traditional, oh damn, the Democrats and the Republicans, they hate each other, man. That's why they always yell at each other, they argue. They argue through news networks and all that stuff. Man, the political thing is, political theater is like amazing. It's crazy, man. Crazy conflict. If you're coming from that world, this might knock your socks off. Pause. But for me, I think I said it all already. Keep it real. Alright, there's your video. Subscribe if you like. Comment. Agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. I'm sure there's people... Actually, with my audience, I wouldn't be surprised if someone knows about all these stories. Well, Emblem sent it to me, so I assume he's already heard about this and investigated it. But I would assume other people already know. But, hey, if you know more, or know more, like, things outside of just this video, I guarantee you there's a lot more. There's even things I know about outside of just these stories. Or if you're the first time hearing it, what do you think? Do you have questions? Do you agree, disagree? Do you want to throw shit at this? Whatever. Let it be known in the comment section. Don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. In fact, there is one about Somalians fighting Africom. There's actually a link for that in this description box. I gave money years ago, like a while ago, like before I stopped making YouTube videos. Now I'm back now. But hey, check it out if it works. Throw some money at it, bro. Maybe I'll check it. Yeah, see what happens. But yeah, all the links in the description box. And with all that said, give this video. Where's my mouse? There it is. A thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.